Hello again. Today we're going to demonstrate the supplier module. Okay, so we're going to log in as admin UK, and we're going to log in over the local area network, not the internet. Okay, so sign in. Okay, so going to go into the supplier module. Okay, so we've got the same menu structure as the other modules. New supplier, new requisition, new purchase order. Find a supplier, find a purchase order, and our tool section is obviously payments control, how to payment runs, um, and batch document printing like purchase orders. Okay, but we'll um, the layout of the module is exactly the same as the others. We've got a workflow menu, so we can actually say new supplier, or we can go new supplier over here, or we can do new purchase order over here. Okay, so let's let's do a new purchase order. When we do a purchase order, we can actually convert available requisitions if we have any. But what I'll do is I'll just pick on this particular supplier, Praxis PLC. Okay. Okay, so the purchase order form comes up. We've got a date, which is today's date. We've got a reference, whatever the reference you want to use, like the supplier reference, like they give us a reference for the order. What are our terms? The supplier defaults in from the supplier account. We've got another reference if we need it. If this was a foreign currency supplier, we could change the actual currency exchange rate. Okay, so let's go into the actual items we're going to order. If I open up the list, it actually gives me a list of stock items with a description, the supplier cost, the last cost, the standard cost in the supplier currency. Okay, so I'm going to click on that one and say OK. And I'm going to say I wanted 10 of those and I want 20 of those. And I can also do free text items just like I can in the customer order and invoice, just by saying, right, I want 10 of those each. And I can type whatever I want to, labor to fit or something like that. It automatically puts the tax code to do with the actual supplier in. So obviously the Praxis there is obviously 0 rated for whatever reason. So there's 100. Okay, so we've done a purchase order here. The total is £1,400. The freight is 10. If I want to override it, I can tick the box and say we're going to charge them they're going to charge me £5. Okay. I can decide which warehouse I want it shipped to. Obviously, it defaults to the main warehouse, but you can pick another warehouse easily. And that's you've got notes where you can just type specific information about the actual supplier, this particular purchase order. I can save it. I can save and close. I can here and now print the actual purchase order document. And if I wanted to print it here and now, it brings up the normal print dialog. I can decide to lowest cost route it. So if I've got an email address for that particular supplier, it'll use it. If I haven't, it'll use the fax number. If I haven't got a fax number, it'll print it. So if I go to the print preview, it'll bring up what the actual purchase order is going to look like. All the stationery layouts are totally amendable by you. When you set up your company, if you put your logo in, it'll automatically put your logo across all the documents, all the reports, and all the actual documents like orders and invoices. Okay. Okay, so there's our purchase order. We've done it. We've printed it off, and at some point we should get some goods coming through the door. So we've got a list of available purchase orders. I can also do goods received just against active suppliers without having to do purchase orders. Okay, so there's our purchase order there. I'm going to click on that one. If I had multiple purchase orders for the same supplier, I could tick them all and consolidate a GRN. Okay, so I'll say OK. So now what I'm going to produce is an actual goods received GRN. Okay, so what it's saying here is, did you receive 10 and 20 and 100? If I wanted to, I could zero all the quantities. But let's say I put 5 in here. So I've only received 5. Okay, what it's saying to me here is the quantity is less than the original outstanding quantity. Do you want to change the original purchase order down? Okay, so it means that I don't have to. if I had 10 on order and only got 5 delivery, if I'm not going to get another delivery, then I could say yes here, and it'll just change the order quantity to 5, so it won't keep track of 5 outstanding. But if I say no, then it will keep track of the 5 outstanding. Okay, so I can save that goods received. I can print off a goods received note. And if I wanted to, I could actually receive the bill at the same time as doing this GRM. But the normal order of events is you do your purchase orders, the goods come in, and then obviously a day or two later the actual purchase invoice comes in. So I'll say save and close. One point about this system is if I go to find goods received, okay, and the goods received that we just done, we post an accrual journal as we do GRNs. Okay, so what this means is that we're actually posting to an accrued creditors control the amount of money, and we're posting to the inventory control at the point of goods received. So in theory, that our inventory control account should always balance to our stock valuation report. And you can see that the journal is made up of the actual GRN, the supplier, the stock item, the quantity, and the unconfirmed cost price. Okay. Okay. All right. So now the invoice comes in, or the bill. We can do bills against just active suppliers, yeah, or we can actually do purchase invoices or bills against actual GRNs. So if I click on that one there and say OK, here's our actual bill. Okay, so what it's asking for is what is the supplier invoice number? What is the supplier invoice date and what is the supplier invoice number? Okay, so if I just type in 123, it'll do it. If that invoice already exists on that supplier transaction history, then it will actually prompt you and say this one already exists. You must have already entered it. What's going on? The second reference is already entered for you, and it kind of lists the GRN, the purchase order number, and the other reference that you entered, the delivery note reference. Okay, so it's saying the total net amount is this. So you should have the invoice in front of you, and it should say 1355 on there, zero tax or whatever, or VAT, and that's the gross amount. Okay, these are all the items for this GRN. If there was multiple GRNs, they would all be here. Okay, so at this point, I can change, okay, the quantity that they invoiced me. So let's say they delivered 5, but they invoiced me for 10. Okay, now you can cope with this, okay, because what you can do is you can process their invoice with the 10, and you can decide to create the debit note there and then for the 5 that you've not had, okay, or what you can do is it'll post the additional 5 to an over invoice control account. Okay, so when you actually then get the credit note off the supplier, you can actually net it off against that over invoice control account.